Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean. I wanted to say thank you first and foremost to you all. This is an audio-only podcast for Friday. That is to address the original audience, the ones that found me when I just was doing audio only. And I still plan on doing the podcast. What is interesting, and I thought I'd give a little bit of an update just for my audio listeners, because I know there are a few of you. Rumble.com, I posted a podcast that I added some pictures, some screen grabs for the New Mexico legislative update, and we got triple the subscribers on Rumble and 600 times the views I normally get on Rumble, which isn't much, but it's still encouraging for me because, it's Friday, I don't have no kids, I'm just going to watch the movie, and I got no job for right now. I will be a business owner very shortly. I already own a business for consulting and IT work. I'm just trying to make it till my 90 days or 60 days for my payout from the job I left. But I wanted to say, because you've heard the post, which was a re-upload from Rumble that I dropped yesterday on this podcast. And I wanted to say thank you to all of you that have found me on Spreaker, iHeart, or any of the Spotify, any of the podcasting platforms there are for the audio version. I can do video. I do video. I'm not a huge fan of trying to do video because I'm not very great at editing video, and video isn't as forgiving as audio. So if you're looking for something interesting and you like Rumble, which is very geared towards free speech, and it seems that YouTube seems to be very anti-2A speech or anti-2A anything, because they're even going after the video channels, if you swap a magazine, which I think is dramatically stupid. But I digress. More specifically, let's get back to what I originally started the New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union for, and that's to talk about the New Mexico legislative update and the politics that's surrounded that we're all in the 2A community were reluctantly drug into. So overnight, last time I checked, which was about 3 this morning because I couldn't sleep, the Senate, which is supposed to be the more conservative side of the roundhouse in Santa Fe, has introduced legislation just like New York or Illinois or any other banned state or blue state, because, you can't be different by design in New Mexico if you're in the government. It's just not conducive to being different by design if you work with the government or are government adjacent. I've learned that the hard way. And I've always been different by design. But they have put in a new bill to the laundry list, which I know is going to happen throughout the 60-day session. If you don't know how the session is, let's cover that real quick. So what happens is, right before the session starts, people that are eager or have the governor's ear, they pre-file bills. Usually it's in the House. Usually it's for funding. Usually it's for any of the big issues the governor is going to state in the State of the State address. Since she mentioned gun control specifically, the Senate has introduced 2 bills, one of which I think is kind of inconsequential, and that's why I don't even remember what it is. But the other one is a ban on anyone under 21 purchasing a rifle or a semi-automatic rifle or semi-automatic of any kind. It's already illegal nationally to buy a fully automatic weapon. It's already illegal nationally that they can't, 21-year-olds, younger than 21-year-olds, 18-year-olds, can't own pistols. I think it's bullcrap. Anyone who knows military people or have served military people, we issue way worse to soldiers, Marines, airmen, National Guard, any of our military services, and anyone I forgot, please forgive me. They're all awesome. although I would tell you that I'm very partial to Marines and Army dudes, soldiers, but that's because I like guns. And the other services, you may like guns, you don't get to play with them as much. Anyway, this is stupid. There's a lot of ranchers in New Mexico. There's a lot of people that have property, and they have younger, 16, 17-year-old people out there, both male and female. So when I say men, I mean free men, as in all. I've said that multiple times, so I'm not going to ramble about that. But there's some issues with a ranch that are kind of conducive to having a working gun. They have animals they have to protect from other animals. They have animals they have to fall because of accidents or anything else like that, and they want to do it the most humanely, efficiently way out in the field, in the field that they possibly can. And a firearm is a way to do that. Many of them have elected for semi-automatic rifles. Now, here's my problem with a number of problems with this, because, well, we shouldn't be trying to legislate morality, but New Mexico is really good at trying to do that. 21-year-olds are often, or 18-year-olds are often part of the ranch hand crowd. They're the ones that have to do this. Anyone that gets introduced to the 2A usually gets introduced by a semi-automatic detachable magazine 22 long rifle. Those would be banned too. So I'll keep an eye on this. I'll do another update on Monday. We have a long slog because the session just started this week. So this is where there are going to be some negotiations. You'll see a lot of hearings. This is where we're probably going to have to go down and protest. I say we, as in the union, as in myself. I will be there for sure, come hell or high water. I may have to beg, borrow, or steal to get gas money to get there at this point, but I'll get there. What I really want to say, though, is thank you so much to all of you who helped me just keep the hobby cast or keep hope alive that this could get bigger and badder. Let's get to the cool stuff. So PSA has confirmed that they have partnered with HMS for the STG-44 semi-automatic version in 4 calibers, 300 black, 5.56, 7.62 by 39, and the original caliber of 7.62 by 39 quartz, 8mm quartz. What's interesting is the design changes they've made from HMS's, or what HMS has designed, is it'll take STANAG magazines for most calibers. And the idea here, they have some that they, I guess, mocked up to make them look like the original magazines that come with STG-44s or that were issued with STG-44s. But they will accept normal magazines. This is a game changer for me because one of the biggest problems you have with this is that magazines or feeding devices are for weird weapons. I say that because I own an HK. Aren't exactly easy to find or inexpensive, more specifically. So a working man, PSA's typical audience, wouldn't be able to afford this. Now, this may be a little bit more expensive than what the $18.99 was that HMS originally did, but this also explains how PSA was able to get it and make it affordable, meaning they partnered with these guys for manufacturing because HMS thought this would be a great idea, got into it, started manufacturing, and realizing that manufacturing costs were too high to be offering at this price point. And they basically kind of left their customers out to dry for a little bit. Now, I don't think they were leaving them out to dry. They were building them as much as they could, one at a time, but it was taking time. I think there's, not very many people making these. The other thing is cool, and I mentioned that this is going to be part of their Battlefield brand, which PSA is launching. So they've already brought the Spiker, the Chinese Type 56 Spiker, in the Soviet arms line. So what that is a remake of the classic Chinese AK with a spike bayonet. It's very faithful to it. It has the DNA of their other offerings in the AK world, so forged components. So they'll hold up, plus the lifetime warranty and all that other fun stuff. So I was also wrong about PSA, or not PSA, Palmetto State Armory. Palmetto State Armory is bringing a 5.56 to the market. It is different than what I expected a little bit. And when I first saw it, I kind of knew what it was, but I didn't know because I am one of those weird guys that looks at magazine wells a lot to define what a weapon is, if I've seen it before. Specifically, when you look at like an AK, a really curved AK mag is usually conducive to the caliber of 7.62 by 39 or 9 by 39. If it's a little straighter, but it's still got a little bit of curve, it's a 5.45. And if it's almost straight, but still has just a slight angle to it, it's 5.56. Those are the quick ways you can look at an AK and see the caliber right away. So I made that same assumption when I looked at what PTR was offering. And they're calling it the PTR 63. And what it is it's a 5.56 PTR roller delayed like my HK that allows for the use of Stanag magazines. Now, they did something way different that is kind of exclusive to the one that HK tried to roll out and sell and market. Is this has a bolt stop, a last round hold open, and it takes standard AR Stanag magazines. It also has, from the factory, they're looking at the AR market, something different, right? They've added what all HK guys try to do, and I'm still trying to find an option for it in the MP5 type style rifles, or not rifles, pistols in my case. For an extended charging handle, they're adding that from the factory. I usually do that to my other PTR rifles because it just makes it easier. It gives you a little lever, a little bit more purchase when you try to cock it. They're doing that, and they're also looks like they're putting adjustable M4 style stocks on it, or AR style stocks on it. Now, I don't know the name of this gun, but I would like to see it again. And I only saw it briefly at TFB's TV's site, and I mentioned it to two dedicated podcast listeners. There is a 308 version of a gun that has copied heavily from the Barrett design. It is designed to be low recoil, precision 308 rifle. Now, there isn't a lot of parts compatibility between the AR platforms. I think the trigger, and I think he said the hammer and the firing pin are probably about the only thing that are compatible with the AR platform. But it's in the AR-10 footprint, sort of. What happens with this gun is the barrel recoils like the Barrett to cycle the action. This absorbs recoil. This gun MSRP's for $4,000 to $5,000. That means squarely out of most people's hands. This is going to be for the dedicated shooter who wants this type of rifle. Most excited about other than the STG-44 coming from HMS and PSA's collaboration, the other gun I'm most excited for at SHOT Show is Weird, in that a company found a way to do it in today's day and age, and they're not going to get a lot of them. Because they're already catching fire, and because of the Biden administration. Although it would make a supremely great hunting rifle. Brugger and Thrallman, I'm butchering their name, but B&T, is bringing in the SVD. So if you don't know what that is, that's the Dragunov from FEG. They're bringing newly manufactured ones in. And they don't say there's going to be thousands, but there's going to be hundreds. Now, these will, I'm sure, disappear from shelves, and I'm sure they're going to be collector's items. Anyone in the AK world who's always looked at the sniper version of the SVD and, had to settle for a PSL is going to be on this like a fat kid on a cupcake or like me on a beer. I really think this is a good plan for B&T. And I applaud them for bringing in something that there is a market for here in the United States that we just don't have. Newer shooters, this is an option. If you don't know, in the 80s and 90s, you could get these for probably about $1,000. Now, with these kits that they're selling, and I say it's a kit, it comes with all the swag that you would need. Comes with the actual issue scope that the Soviets and the Eastern Bloc used. It comes with 2 magazines, I believe. It has a proprietary type muzzle brake, but it ships with the one that they say you have to take to a gunsmith to have it installed. Stevens released something, I'm pretty sure I mentioned it, was their like Camp Carbine or their Hunter, but it takes Glock magazines. That's exciting too. So again, I'm not an industry insider. I rely on the insiders that are there to bring you the podcast and tell you the cool stuff that's there. But I wanted to show some gratitude to you all who have stuck with me for a year plus as I ground away daily to try to figure out how to do this better, be more efficient, and produce better content. The Rumble stuff is a direct offshoot of what I've done already on this platform, where I quite literally am way more comfortable doing audio and then recording video to overlay over it. It's more labor intensive, and I'm fine with that because I enjoy this stuff and I want to make it in this space because I think someone needs to represent the average Joe Schmo guy who just likes guns, who had a different job, who's trying to break into the industry, and there's a lot of us like that. Some people have chosen the SDI route to become gunsmiths or try to become gunsmiths. Problem with that usually ends up being you have to find a way to get into the community, and you have to be willing to move to become a gunsmith. And it's very cost prohibitive for a lot of the lathes and other stuff you need. So you're going to need some investment. But it's interesting to see so many diverse faces that were willing to pop up on Rumble go out and support me. I went from 27 followers on Rumble to 78 overnight. I would get maybe 5 of my viewers from here, I think, or my listeners from here that can find me on Rumble, and that happens when you change platforms. I have no intention on dropping this. I have no intention on just re-recording. I'll try to make them separate until such that people know that they can find the audio podcast and the Rumble podcast or the Rumble webcast. I'm trying to not always stick to politics in the 2A community. I know there's a niche for that, and that's probably more of my niche than what I want to be. Because I'm a politico. I follow politics. I always have. That helps because a lot of the 2A community is not politically savvy, if you know what I mean. They know what they feel. They are the most patriotic group of citizens in the United States, whether it's New Mexicans or regular U.S. citizens that have found my podcast, or any of those people in other countries, because believe it or not, I think I found some followers in other countries. The best way to keep tactical, though, is just to talk about this stuff and to advocate the best way we can for the Second Amendment. And that means in all ways. Get your concealed carry, get your training, follow the rules of gun safety. Don't be a dumbass is the best way to put that. Don't let guns become the issue that divide us, because it should be one that unites us. And the push against people, because I've seen this too, where they're pissed off trying to mess with people's gun rights. They don't understand that there's a heck of a lot more people that we expose them to. I'm sorry, my phone rang in another room, so I heard that and it threw off my train of thought. But specifically, where I was going with this is there's a lot of people on Twitter specifically pissed off that there shows a dad training with his really young son, showing him the ins and outs of loading and making a gun safe. This is something that has to happen, and I've done with my kids to some extent when they were younger. You familiarize your kids with guns. This isn't the same as sexualizing them, so that they have some sort of competency. It also introduces the interest in it, thus why we've been so pissed off when you try to sexualize kids, because we know that eventually kids get very interested in what they're exposed to at a very young age. The thing is, it's usually done by the father or the mother even, and why they do it, why they expose kids to guns so early is a safety check. If you have guns in your firearm in your home, you need to show kids what the hell they are so that they aren't overly curious about them. Okay? Because you may store them correctly, but little Johnny's dad or little Susie's dad or mom down the street who's just a novice, who doesn't know what the hell they're doing, may not. And I'd rather have my kids safe or know how to handle them safely, so when a kid says, hey, let's go check this out. Dad has one in his sock drawer. Mom has one on top of the closet. I'd rather the kid see firsthand one of their other peers go, no, we don't mess with those. Why? Well, that's dangerous. Well, they look cool. Yeah, they are cool. But let's talk to your parents about that, or let's talk to mom and dad about that, and let them introduce them. Kill the stigma, and then you kill the drive for those accidental shootings. And you kill the need for them to always want to see that stuff without you present. If you're always there, they're always going to associate you with the item. And that's what I can say worked for me. It's worked with my kids. And I say that because my dad did the same thing. My dad shot a watermelon when one of the first times we went shooting. It exploded in a very horrific manner. And he says, if you screw up with this, this is you. He said he then took away my toy guns and said, we're now at a different age. If you're wanting to do this, you need to know how serious this is. And it's that mentality that starts at that very young age, but is fostered on. Many of us in the 2A community grew up hunting and fishing with our parents. We have got into the 2A because of that. Some of us got into it because our parents forbade us from doing that. I was fortunate. This is part of my family. There's no other way to put it. My father was a gun guy. My brothers are gun guys. If you mention me to my friends and family around me, they'll tell you I'm a gun guy. I have very fond memories around this. This is part of my life for a long time, and it's not going away, and I will not let it go away. So thank you for all your support. Please check us out on Rumble. Please check us out on all of our podcasting platforms. Most of them. I think the only one that's really giving me any fits was Amazon. I even found a way to get on Apple. Like, share, subscribe, be great.